Lately, USA is getting scarier. Half of the Americans I see all hate America. They hate the cops doing their best to take care of us and kneel for the flag and salt the soldiers that we're burying. I'm tired of the pissing and complaining. Why you living in America if all you do is hate it? You think it's brave to take a stand against the nation? Real bravery is dying for the right so you can say it. Dear America, what happened to Americans? Apparently no one's aware or cares that it's embarrassing. It's arrogance. Our greatest enemy was always slavery and terrorists, and now it's people in the country trying to burn the heritage. I can't help it, I just seem to see the world different. It ain't Republicans or liberals, it's mental illness. The internet is only interested in left opinions. Cancel culture's got more power lately than the First Amendment. If you don't like it, leave. We will not defund police. We don't want no riots in our neighborhoods or in the streets. We respect freedom of speech. We protect what we believe. We don't want nobody dead, so please do not tread on me. In America, if freedom ain't free. In America, got soldiers dying overseas. So America, you say what we believe. My America, I won't ever take a knee. Our freedom is the reason you can disrespect our flag. If my stars and stripes offend you, then I'll help you pack your bags. America, does anybody know what the hell happened to the patriots? Lately this nation is so ashamed and hating itself. Did everyone forget?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's been a hot minute since I've been on this. So, pardon the nasaliness. Allergies suck. But we got a pretty big hot button topic for the first stream I'm doing on my new format. We are talking about Dave Chappelle's Netflix special, The Closer, and basically is the outrage being directed at it being directed in the right direction. Now, I'm gonna be up front. Y'all can argue, y'all can almost say what you want, but mods know, unless you be respectful to others and others be respectful to you, you're gonna get banned if you don't. So, getting right into it. The Closer. It's Dave's new special. He's I think it just came out last week or the week before. Something like that. I watched it myself. I thought it was pretty funny. But then again, I didn't take everything seriously like everyone seems to be taking it. The first big thing is the waves that it sent through the trans LGBT community. A lot of people, probably about 95% of the community has been up in arms over this because Dave chose to make certain jokes during his special. Now, this is the thing where I take issue with this. I have a big issue with people taking comedians too seriously. The whole point of a comedian is to make you laugh. A comedian is a person who says the things that other people can't or won't or are afraid to say, and they say it just to make people laugh. Now, there are some comedians out there that I'm sure mean what they say, believe what they say. But that doesn't mean that you have to take the smallest minority of a section of entertainers and lob that all into one. So, I have an article here I'm going to pull up, and we're just going to jump right into that. Let me know if that's too small for y'all. I can always resize it. It looks good on my end, but actually here, let me resize that, just for the people with bad eyesight like myself that I'm sure are watching. While I'm resizing this, I can go over a couple things. During the special, or during Dave's past specials, Dave had always mentioned from time to time, from time to time has mentioned a friend of his, and we'll be getting into talking about her here in a bit. But there we go. Okay, now that that's resized, here's the article: Dave Chappelle versus trans people versus Netflix. I'm gonna try not to be a drone and read this word for word, so I will be paraphrasing a lot. Chappelle's latest Netflix special, The Closer, people are saying it's the tipping point for trans people. Now, just from that headline alone, I take it that that's basically the straw that broke the camel's back for trans people. Now, that's my interpretation. Hate it or like it, that's what it is. But let's read the article and see if what I'm thinking is right. For the past several years, comedian Dave Chappelle has been locked in a vicious cycle of anti-culture stand-up comedy. He's had 6 Netflix specials. He's lashed out at progressive attempts to cancel him. Basically, he's been mocking the LGBT community, mostly the queer and transgender. He's been mocking the Me Too movement, and he has not backed down from it whatsoever. He keeps doubling down. It's in his last special, Chappelle basically told everyone a lot of what he's been feeling, that's been going on in society, that he sees. It's not necessarily what he believes, because even in the special, he has admitted, right there in the special, that he is a left-leaning feminist. I forget what the little 4-letter anagram or whatever the hell you call it is, but so when he's making these jokes, people often don't remember or bring up the fact that he's in a specific group that he openly identifies himself with. So, okay, here we go. It was released October 5th. Chappelle's humor is being said to be more transphobic than ever. Many trans viewers feel Chappelle's comedy has escalated into overt hate, and they've been voicing their complaints directly to Netflix. Moreover, Netflix has suspended a trans employee who tweeted about this special's transphobia. Now, this is not the only thing that Netflix has done. Netflix has also been suspending a trans... I don't know if this is the same trans employee, but they suspended a trans employee for barging in to their meeting. And it was a meeting that was not held for any employees of that level And it wouldn't have been acceptable for anyone, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender, whatever. So people are focusing on the fact that, yes, a trans employee got suspended for busting in. But this is, you got to remember, businesses have these meetings. They're closed meetings to only certain people. So for someone to go into outrage because they got suspended, and for a community to get outraged because this specific person got suspended, is borderline ridiculous in my opinion, because you can't do what you want in a business, especially if you're not high up there on the totem pole. So when you decide that you feel you have the right to do these things, the company will react accordingly. Pulling up the next part here, guys. I'll get my flow eventually. So, the fact that they only suspended this person for barging in actually says a lot about Netflix, because you could be outright fired for that normally. You know, I don't know how a lot of companies work nowadays, but or basically new companies that start up nowadays, how they work. But established companies, they have rules, because some of these meetings, there's stuff discussed that should not be made public to the outside. Perfect example, there's a trans employee who is organizing a lockout that is today, I believe. And in this lockout, they and a number of employees are going to walk out of Netflix virtually. This isn't a physical walkout. This is a virtual lockout, mind you. Walkout. So they're not even doing it in person. So you've got that. Despite the uproar, Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos defended Chappelle and his comedy. We don't allow titles on Netflix that are designed to incite hate or violence. See that? Designed to incite or hate or violence. A comedy special is not designed to incite hate or violence. It is designed to incite laughter and or offense, for people to take offense. Dave Chappelle is a comedian who specializes in offensive jokes. So, moving on. They don't believe that the closer crosses that line. This is an internal email he wrote on October 8th. Chappelle has been platforming... Sorry guys, lost my position here. But with Chappelle platforming a position of gender essentialism on stage and declaring that his term TERF, there we go, that's the four-letter term, trans exclusionary radical feminist, who argue that trans women aren't women. Many Netflix viewers and employees disagree. Netflix's approach to the whole situation has triggered employee resignations, backlash, and now a planned walkout, which I just talked about, which is today. Complicating the situation even further is an uncomfortable wedge that has only exacerbated the polarization around Chappelle. The suicide of Daphne Dorman, who is a trans woman who defended and was a friend of Chappelle, became a willing subject of his comedy, like I talked about earlier. She was a subject of a number of his specials. I believe she was even mentioned in Sticks and Stones. And she was bullied online, offline, had death threats, harassment. You name it, they probably did it, thrown at her. Now, I'm not going to say this was the reason she ended up committing suicide, which that's what happened. She ended up committing suicide. And her committing suicide was the trigger, or one of the triggers, for Chappelle doing The Closer. And I do believe Chappelle has admitted it himself. But if we switch over here real quick, we can learn about who is Daphne Dorman. This is a picture of her right here beside Chappelle. Daphne Dorman had lived in San Francisco, and her claim to fame is getting a shout out by Chappelle in two of his stand-up comedy specials. So this woman was a mother. You know, think about that. People, it's one thing to get offended, honestly. It's another thing to go after a person so hard and so viciously that you can affect their mental health, physical health. You know, regardless, it doesn't make it right. Hey, what's up, Mr. Karate? She had died. Let's see here. Trying to find when she died here. Well, I believe that she died the day of that tweet. So let me scroll back up here. That she posted. The tweet that she posted on September 24th says, "So, guess who's opening for Dave Chappelle this Thursday at 10:30 at the Punchline?" Going past all this. When Daphne got the hate that she got, she posted a tweet right here. She said, "Punching down requires you to consider yourself superior to another group. Dave Chappelle doesn't consider himself better than me in any way. He isn't punching up or punching down, he's punching lines. That's his job, and he's a master of his craft." So, when she made this, it was a little bit after the special. She immediately got backlash. So, it shows here, she died on October 11th in 2019. So this was 2 years ago. Almost a week, roughly a week, yeah. A little under a week before his special, a year. She actually posted the day she committed suicide. "To those of you who are mad, please forgive me. To those of you who wonder if you failed me, you didn't. To those of you who feel like I failed you, I did, and I'm sorry. And I hope you'll remember me in better times and better light." Chappelle was so affected by her death that, as it shows here, he is retiring his LGBTQ jokes in her honor. You know, that's how close they were. That's how much of an effect it had on him. This man has done God knows how many LGBTQ jokes over his career. And you know, some people have gotten offended over the years, some people haven't. But it's only recently in these times, past number of years, that it's become not okay to make a joke about someone when comedy is your profession. And you are looked at as an offensive comedian. And you are looked at to make these jokes. Carlos Mencia, Dave Chappelle. Those are the only two I can think of off the top of my head. Chat can give me a couple more names if they want to. But all these people, all these comedians talk shit about their own race, their own subset of wherever they are. George Lopez and Gabriel Iglesias. Thanks, guys. There's another two. They make fun of everybody. Now, today's climate, you cannot make a joke. You cannot be any kind of insulting nowadays without getting your ass canceled. This is cancel culture in its essence. But when you've got these people who hide behind internet anonymity and just pound on these people who are just standing up for their friends, you know, I'll put it this way. There's a big difference if Hitler was still alive and someone was friends with him and they stood up for him and what he did. That is far, far different than a friend who's actually part of the community that he's making jokes about, saying, hey, this is a comedian. He's making jokes. He's trying to be offensive. And then you crucify this person. She wasn't just crucified by straight people and whatnot. She was crucified by the majority of her community. You know, there wasn't anyone on her side of the table stating, hey, it's okay, you know, stick to your guns. Look at it this way. If you guys were in your own shoes and you were trying to stick up for your friend, and you're one of these people that went in on Dave, went on Daphne, or any other comedian that's been trying to tell jokes, wouldn't you want someone to defend you too if you're just trying to do your job? I'll leave that point at that. So, next thing I want to bring up before we get into the meat and potatoes about the whole controversy is someone else in the LGBTQ community decided to speak up. And this is on the extreme end of how ridiculous things have gotten nowadays. Because you have these people that are getting offended, and they're getting offended just by reading taglines, news articles that are majority of the time taking things out of context. Because nowadays, if you speak out against the majority, you know that you are just going to get messed up. Online, in real life, you're going to become a pariah. So, Mr. George Takei, Captain Sulu himself, he decided to chime in on this. Now, Mr. Takei has been fading into obscurity pretty steadily, and he decided he was going to try and make himself more relevant again by doing two things. The first is going after William Shatner again, which, that's nothing new. Takei hates Shatner with a passion because Shatner took away 30 seconds of screen time in a TV show over 50 years ago. Yes, that's right. Takei's pissed off because Shatner took away 30 seconds of screen time on the original Star Trek, where he would have gotten the screen time. Now, 50 plus years later, we're still going in on him. So, Takei decided he was going to lay on his opinion about Shatner, who is 90 years old, mind you, went up into actual space, which is pretty amazing. So it's been a big deal for the geek nerd community, whatever kind of community that likes Star Wars, Star Trek, all that. You know, Captain Kirk's finally in space. Not only that, the fact that he has become the oldest living man to have gone into space. At 90 years old. That means he beat out John Glenn, who went back up into space. I think probably about 5 years or so. So, still trying to keep himself relevant, Mr. Takei decided he was going to speak up about the Dave Chappelle special. He wrote in this tweet, if Dave Chappelle had so blatantly attacked another minority group such as Asians, Muslims, or Jews, would Netflix have so readily stood by his artistic freedom? It's hard not to feel like trans people are considered fair game in today's America. This is why we must speak out. Now, if any of you have seen Chappelle's special, you will notice he makes fun of Jews, Asians, etc. I mean, the Chappelle Show, the racial draft, how Lenny Kravitz got drafted to the Jews. Takei obviously did not read the special or watch the special. He obviously did not look into it at all. So, this just paints him in a horrible, horrible light. And this is the kind of outrage that was heaped on Daphne. Now, again, I have to reiterate, because there are people out there who are going to spam my comment section saying, oh, you know it wasn't that made Daphne kill herself. There could have been other circumstances. Yes, I know. There could have been other circumstances. So, saying that, while this may not have been the deciding factor, this obviously was a factor. You cannot have that many people go after you. I don't care who you are. Even I wouldn't be able to take that kind of heat. It would affect you in some way. Now, if she had some kind of pre-existing mental ailment, illness, whatever, I'm sure there were other factors. But you're not a parent. And when you're a parent, you can't just and off yourself easily. I know that came out wrong, but let me explain here. I'm a father. I have major depressive disorder, so I have a depression issue. Even though I have been depressed, and I had even, when I was younger in high school, contemplated suicide. I never went through with it, but I contemplated suicide. Once I became a father, once my son came into my life, any thoughts about that stuff were instantly Thanos snapped out of existence. So, for about I'd say 2/3 of parents, killing, it takes a lot, and I mean a lot, for you to go and kill yourself, because you know what you're doing is going to have an effect on your child or children. So people need to start taking into consideration all these factors that go in. Don't just cherry pick what you want out of a situation or something that happened or what someone says and use it for your own ends. I know people aren't going to listen to that, but I at least make myself feel better when I say it out loud. And I don't give a fuck who has a problem with it. Going back to Takei, he got destroyed on Twitter. I'll take a little bit of a scroll down here, and we can see some of the things people were saying. You know, here's one. The worst, to my point of view, that I read in an article is one of the trans he kept attacking while holding back with her permission. From what he said, at least killed herself after one show he put her on Spotlight. Isn't that enough of a warning? See, this person, like Takei, didn't know everything. They're making a snap judgment and comment only by reacting to Mr. Takei's thing here. She came out and said she was fine with it. This was not the first time he had mentioned her. So this is twice. He mentioned her in 2 specials. So, I guess they won't let me see any more. Oh, there we go. Show more replies. When this first came out, there was a lot of people coming at him, but now that I guess it's cut more mainstream, you've got a lot more people coming to his offense. We got some more understanding people here. From when I read the tweet originally and when I watched the news video that brought my attention to this, you know, there were people pointing out the fact that he didn't even watch the special. And like I said, he obviously doesn't know Chappelle, doesn't watch Chappelle, didn't watch the special. Like right here, no one makes anyone watch him. If you watch, I guess that's just watching, I guess they added it, his special, he made a compelling point in his last story about the trans comedian. Okay? He is and does all the time. Have you not seen his show? Getting outraged about comedy is the lowest of the low. That thing, look at that. That has 661 likes. Now, I'm not a Twitter pro, so when you tell me people get ratioed, I don't know what that means. Chat can enlighten me. So, I stay away from Twitter. Twitter is a cesspool. Yeah, you're like that, Soul. Twitter is toxic. I prefer to keep the toxic out of my life as much as possible. So, satire is meant to ridicule power. If you are laughing at people who are hurting, it's not satire, it's bullying. So, you're telling me that him making jokes about the LGBT community, that the entire LGBT community is suffering, hurting over this. Now, before the premature commenters, I'll call them, come jump in and jump on my ass about this, I'm going to ask you, have you watched the special first? Have you actually listened to what the man said? And do you know Dave Chappelle's career? And do you know Dave Chappelle himself? I'm not talking about knowing personally. That's... if you can't know everybody personally. But as a celebrity, he has his life under a microscope. And a lot of his life is in public record. You know, not everything, but he's one of the few people who have actually come out and said, hey, this is the group I belong to. This is who I stand by. I'm still going to tell jokes. That's one thing comedians nowadays do not do. They do not tell the jokes they want to tell because they know that if they do, shit like this is going to happen. Where whoever they told an offensive joke about, is the community and the group is just going to come at them as hard and as fast as they can, because the internet allows people to do this without any real life consequences. So you can't just do what you want. The internet has made people, especially today's generation, forget or not even learn that actions have consequences. Now, if Chappelle had been, say, an actor, or a politician, or even just Joe Schmo on the street, then you'd have at least one leg to stand on in this argument. But my point here is... it's okay, Lilith, you're allowed to be late. My point here is... dang it, Lilith, you made me forget my point. Crap, okay. Now I forget where I was going with that. Thanks, Lilith. We'll just, oh, I remember it. You can't... and I dropped it again. Okay, we'll just move on here. So,
lately, U.S.
Oop, wrong screen. Okay. So, this leads me back into the special, into comedy, and the main topic of this discussion here: where should the real outrage lie? Now, I have my opinion. I've made my opinion quite clear. I think the outrage is misplaced. You're being outraged at a comedian for doing his job. He said it in a comedy setting, on a comedy special, and his job is to do offensive comedy. And you're being outraged, like, oh my god, how dare he say something that an offensive comedian would say? How dare this man do his job? How retarded can you be? By the way, we do not hold our tongue here, so screw monetization, screw YouTube. Meanwhile, you have hardly anybody, because hardly anybody knows, being outraged at this trans woman, Daphne's, suicide due to overpressure and over internet real life assault. And it's just like most of the people who do find out about it, it's like, oh, well look, Dave pushed her to suicide because he mentioned her in his specials. And it's like, no, she didn't commit suicide because she was mentioned in the specials. She had, again, I gotta watch what I say here because people take everything with a, every little thing you say is 100% fact. One of the reasons she committed suicide, I cannot, there's not a doubt in my mind that it was one of the reasons. I'm sure there was other stuff going on, but one of the reasons she committed suicide is because she came out and defended her friend, and the LGBT community had a problem with it. I don't have a problem with the LGBT community. I've said this on streams before where I've talked that I respect people and their decisions, who they want to be, as long as they don't push their shit on me. I'm allowed to believe what I want to believe. So, as long as you don't try and force me to do things, then I'm fine. If you want to be called her, I'll call you her. If you want me to think of you as a person who has a vagina when you don't, I mean, if you do, like, get the surgery, then that's fine with me. But you're not going to force me, and you shouldn't have to force anyone to completely submit and be subservient to your way of thinking. Especially here in America. In America, you can say stupid shit like this. You can be stupid like this. And it's because it's America. You can count on one hand and maybe 3 fingers of the countries that will allow you to do the shit that you do here. In fact, to do everything that you do here, we're the only place in the world. There are other countries that will let you get away with similar stuff, but here you have the freedom to say and be what you want. Now, there was an old flag that's unfortunately been repurposed into a more racial connotation, I'll say. The flag was called "Don't Tread on Me." Now, that flag was the belief that, you do not have the right to tread on my belief, on my freedom. Hold on a second here. There we go. I can't always pay attention to the chat, so. A lot of things people take for granted here. I mean, you've got countries where if you try and pull the shit that people pull here, you're going to get stoned to death in public. You're going to get thrown off buildings. Just for being who you are, what you believe you are. And there are people who want to change the country to make it so you're only allowed to believe what the people in the majority or the people in charge want you to believe. If you want to do that, then go pack up to a place that fits your ideal world. Because I, for one, don't want America to change. I think America is fine the way it is. It's the people in America that have gone crazy. America itself, as an idea, as a nation, as a being, is totally fine. It's the people that are fucking nuts. Now, kind of went on a tangent there and kind of got off topic of the channel or the special, but Netflix has, and I touched upon this a little bit earlier in the stream, has actually stood by Chappelle 100%, just like they've stood behind other shows like Orange is the New Black. And unfortunately, and it's disgusting, they've stood by Cuties, which don't Okay, we back? Can you all hear me now? Okay. Chat, what was the last thing you heard me say before I started buffering? Doesn't have to be an in-depth answer, just kind of give me the smallest gist on the last thing you guys heard so I can pick up from there. Because I didn't notice it was buffering until I saw Geek. Oh, the flag. Okay. The Don't Tread on Me flag. Man, I was buffering for a while. The Don't Tread on Me flag was originally used in the Revolutionary War, and it was a symbol to the British and to anyone else as a statement saying, don't tread on my beliefs. Don't tread on my freedom. And that's what a lot of activists and hacktivists... it's the flag that has the coiled snake on it and says, don't tread on me, in curved in like a half circle lettering style. If you... Here, let me... I'll pull up a picture of it. There we go. As soon as it loads. There. This flag right here. Coiled snake in the grass says, don't tread on me. That's the flag I'm talking about. Now, people take for granted, and sometimes the people know they're taking it for granted, sometimes they don't care, or there are other times they don't remember. But people take for granted just how much freedom they actually have in this country. We are the only country in the world to give you the type of freedom that we have. No other country. Other countries have similar ideologies and freedoms, but you can't go and talk to your government the way you talk to them. You can't disrespect the ruling body of the office like people do. You know, and I'm not just talking about Trump. This isn't a Trump discussion. This will never be a Trump discussion. Fuck Trump. I don't care about Trump. So, with me growing up in the 80s, in the 90s, we were taught to respect the office of the president. You don't have to respect the man or woman, depending on what the future may hold, but you damn sure respect the office of the president. And the things that people have done and the way that people have treated the office of the president, you know, you've never seen that before. You've had protests about what the president was doing, but you've never had people go out and attack and, you know, dox and just do all this other crazy shit. I mean, these people are one step away from just outright going an assassination, you know? A lot of these people are just doing what they're doing now because they can't go and kill the particular president they hate. Yeah, it's becoming a joke. Hey, Julian. It's the government is a problem in and of itself. I'll save that for another stream because I don't want to get more sidetracked than I'm already getting. But It's okay to have your beliefs. It's okay to have a problem with something going on. But it's not okay to blindly go and attack whoever you feel like it and whoever you want to just because you don't like them and you know you're going to get away with it 99% of the time because you're hiding behind a computer screen. I'm old-fashioned. You got a problem with me? Say it to my face. Don't skirt around me. Just tell me. I'm a man. I can take it. And it should be the same with everybody else. Snowflake is an appropriate term because people's feelings are sturdier than a snowflake. And that's pretty bad. I can't even say they're sturdier than glass because glass is stronger than people's feelings nowadays. But getting back towards where the outrage should lie. Chat, I welcome your opinions. I welcome people in the comments to say what their views are. Because it's good to get this stuff out there. And again, be respectful with each other. You get respect when you give respect in my channel. So, mods won't send you to ban heaven or ban hell, reap your souls, etc., depending on which mods are in here. As long as you keep it within reason. So, talking now about where do you think the outrage should be right now? Do you think the outrage should be directed all towards Dave? Should you be outraged at Daphne for daring to come out in support of her friend? Should you be outraged at Takei for, being a bandwagoning idiot? Or should you just be outraged at the situation and the societal negligence and just utter pussery that society's become? That's where my outrage lies. I have a problem with how people can't tell jokes anymore. You're not allowed to hurt someone's feelings. You're not allowed to have a sense of humor. Comedians aren't allowed to do their job. You know, people have effectively neutered the comedy industry. So, with that said, we've been on here for almost an hour. I don't have time to field comments from the Discord call, or the Discord VC, I should say. So if anyone in the chat wants to say something, I'll respond to it. If you have any questions, it's open mic time, as they would say, so you can field me anything you want. Have any comments? I agree, Julian. That's my stance as well. You can't... I've said this all before, so I won't repeat myself again, but... Yep. Society is pussified. You can't do anything. But it's okay for certain people to do certain things. Everything's okay as long as you're the people doing them. That's another way society is. It's okay if you're the one doing it. If someone does the same thing you're doing, then that's a problem. But if you're doing it, you automatically get a pass. Because when you think you're in the right, that gives you carte blanche to do whatever the hell you want. Anyone else got any questions, comments, concerns? Want to make fun of me for doing my horrible job at my first live stream? I'm sure you want to make fun of me, Virgil, don't you? Yeah, see, there we go. I was expecting that. True. This is true. The benefits of working for a video game testing company and working there for 17 years. But shh, don't tell a certain someone. I don't want to be caught bragging. Wink, wink. I'm sure he's watching. So, he doesn't play with him. Alright. I know there's only been a handful of you guys. And it's my first live stream in the new format. So, thanks for showing up. Keep an eye out. Don't need to subscribe. Just hit the notification bell so that you can know when I'm doing live streams. I don't give two shits about subscribers, all that other shit. I'm here to do this for fun and to say my points of view. So with that, I will talk to you all later. We'll have a better and hopefully longer one here in the next one.
At the door doesn't mean our brains will change from hand grenades. You're loving on the psychopath sitting next to you. You're loving on the murderer. You'll think how to get here sitting next to you. Sitting next to you. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden moves. Take it slow.